Oh, hello all. Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Thank you. Thank you very much, firstly, for joining on this online panel discussion on water sustainability. We have five of you here. Sixth might join. This is as a run-up to the CLIMAFIX Summit 2023. As most of you know, this is a summit that focuses on climate startups. This is being organized by my firm EAI along with IIT Madras, the Energy Consortium. And this will be on September 22-23 at IIT Madras Research Park, the same place where it was held earlier, where most of you guys were there as well. So look forward to meeting all of you there. So today's panel discussion, online panel discussion, is essentially around water. What we are planning to do is have a series of panel discussions, one around each theme. And water sustainability is one of the key decarbonization sustainability themes for us. And around water, we are going to have two panel discussions. The first is today. The second will be perhaps a few weeks later. And the idea is we take inputs from today, we all go back, do our homework, and come back. And the second session, probably we can give a lot of directions and stuff like that. So today is more of setting the context. And the next session is where we use this context and inputs to set a pathway forward for water sustainability. So that's the overall context. I'm not going to take too much time. Even though I'm supposed to be the moderator, there is nothing much to moderate today. It's more of introduction and context setting. Before that, my pleasure to introduce each and every one of you. I'll start with the clockwise. Yeah, that's clockwise. From what I remember, we'll start with SSPV. So SSPV is from VGOT. They're a water metering system analytics. I believe they have a good amount of focus on the residential segment, but she can tell us more. And then we have Amrit, a very well-known person in the water analytics sector, water treatment sector, and I think his company has been doing a hell of a lot of work. Indra Water has been doing a lot of work in the water treatment, water sustainability segment. That's Amrit for you. Then I have Chandrasekharan, once again, a very well-known person in the water segment, water purification. So he's probably slightly different from the rest of you. He has been focusing on water purification and at a distributed level, at a consumer community level for a long time. He has been in this game for, I think, maybe a couple of decades now, something like that. So he'll tell us more about it. Ganesh, again, is very well known for many reasons. One, of course, is the fact that he runs SAS Mafia. SAS Mafia is, by the way, a partner for us for the CLIMAFIX Summit. We will be working together. We'll all be, as they say, thick as thieves. We will be working together to make the whole thing a success. So, but more importantly, for this panel, he will be representing FluxGen, which has co-founded, and that's another company that's doing a lot of work in sustainability for water. And finally, Aditya is the odd man out here, not because he looks the smartest, but also because of the fact that well, all of you guys look smart, but it looks like he has dressed for the party today. So, but Aditya, the reason he is probably the odd man out is because he's the lone investor here. He represents Aniket Capital. Aniket, well, as you know, is a very well-known angel, VC fund. They also probably do angel investments, the entire spectrum. They invest across many verticals. Sustainability is a key theme, and I believe they have had a few efforts at water as well. So welcome all of you. Welcome to this panel discussion on water sustainability. And it's a pleasure once again. We probably will be spending about 30-40 minutes today, more on context setting. Yep. So before we start, the actual core, which is more on your inputs on the pain points you're solving, the innovations you're looking at, and what challenges you see, I would like each of you to spend maybe a minute, max of minute and a half, 2 minutes, to tell a bit more about both your company and yourself, because individuals matter as much as the companies today in every startup. So why don't we start with Yashaswini?
Hey, hi. So I head customer success at VGOT, and my role primarily is making sure that from the pre-sales until post-installation service and so on, every team within the company remains aligned on what success looks like for the client. So it could just be a straight up, I want to reduce the amount of water I use, or it could be something a little secondary, like getting a green certification, or it could just be, I want to recover the costs of water that I'm spending in procuring toilets. It could be any of these. And in a company like us, where there is teams jumping in and out at every stage of the client's life cycle, it helps to have someone who's keeping that primary thing we want to install in such a way that the client gets to the end point, what success means to them. So that's what my team and I do. The product that we are working with is an ultrasonic water sensor. And yes, we are largely focused on the residential segment. And a lot of what people do in the water space either is about increasing the sources of water, rainwater harvesting or desalination plants. So governments and policymakers tend to focus either on increasing the sources, or there are startups that are focusing on treating water, that is WTPs, STPs, and so on. What this does, what We Got Aqua does, is try and bring down the demand for water itself. Because you finally see on your phone or on a dashboard that I'm using 1,000 liters a day. It's usually a shock, right? You can't believe that your hand wash took 5 liters. You can't believe your shower took 100 liters. And then help people add a monetary value to that water. Normally, people pay a flat rate, irrespective of how much you use. Once you say that you're using per usage, you're paying per usage based on the system, we see that there is a lot of decentralized initiatives that happen at an individual level to bring down this. So that's what the company does, and that's what my team and I also do.
Thank you, Yashaswini. Thank you very much. Amrit, your 2 minutes.
Thank you so much and for organizing this. And I'm Amrit, he's already mentioned, co-founder of Indra Water. One of the things we are trying to do in Indra is encourage decentralized point of source reuse of water. And we're enabling this by treating water electrically. That's a departure from how things were normally done in the past. Now, why electricity? We realized when we went out there that one of the primary reasons, the really difficult to treat pollutants, we had very massive structures, and those difficult streams, it would take biological or chemical systems a lot of retention time. That's what made these structures larger. You needed to hold water. So to treat water quicker, electricity or ionic reactions is the best possible way. The second thing is our approach is a broad spectrum pollution removal process, which means we're able to cater to a wide variety of pollutants, whether it's the CODs, the BODs, the suspended particles, heavy metals, oils, grease, fats. So that allows us to, kind of reach a point where we can productize it. So the first aspect was reusing as much water at the point of source. The second aspect was making systems more compact and modular, which allows us to drive an EPC-centric market towards productization. Now, this for the first time gives us the opportunity to standardize pre-treatment and primary treatment of water, but more importantly, enter mass production of systems. We do not want to build a different system each time. And the last part of the process is that how do you interact with these systems? We want to change people's behavior, how they operate assets, how they interact with it, and how frequently they need to, what they spend actually on breakdowns. So today, with systems that are electrically driven, we're able to recover up to 99% water, reduce 70% solid waste, and also save at least 35% in life cycle costs, while ensuring that 75% net carbon savings are achieved with every water asset. So it's making water much more sustainable, making water assets more directed towards a realistic economic payback within an acceptable time frame. So that's what we are exactly doing, and I'll be really happy if we can get questions.
Thank you, Ganesh.
It was Amrit, not me.
Oh well, Amrit is done. Ganesh.
Oh, you said, I have to. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I'll have to.
So firstly,
but that's what I meant. Yeah,
okay.
Ganesh, your turn.
So firstly, I fortunate to be among some of the finest entrepreneurs here, and there's so much to learn from them. Thanks for having me amongst them. So I'm the founder and CEO of Fluxen Technologies. What we believe is there's a big difference between agriculture water and urban water infrastructure. Many times people confuse things that you save water in agriculture, you can save all the problems of the world. Unfortunately, that's not true, because urban infrastructure has limited ability to treat or do various actions, supply water, and so, right? So there's a competition for water. If there's a competition for water between my father, that is my family, and industry, government will provide water to my family. And I really admire the government's Har Ghar Jal, that is giving tap connection to every house. That means the urban water consumption is only going to increase. So there is a massive and imminent water related risk industries are going to face because of both rapid urbanization and climate change. It's said that if climate change is sharp, water is its teeth. So how do you break this down? So there are three major risks that industries face because of this competition for water between other players. One is the financial risk. The cost of water is only going to increase with time. The value of water, both input cost of water and also the cost today of getting water from groundwater is also charged, right? So you have to pay for it. There's a cost associated to pumping, purification, chilling, and others, which is anywhere from 20x to 100x. McKinsey says 100x for paper and pulp industry, right? And there is also a cost associated treatment of water. So that's a financial risk. I've been told that one of the Godrej company had to shut down, or one of the this one had to shut down their dairy plant for almost 18 days because of unavailability of water. So there's a business continuity risk because of impending water crisis, right? And also compliance risk adds up to it. Like if I'm buying this shirt in the future, I would also know how much water was required to make it. That's BRSR. That is, for every rupee of revenue that you make today, you have to report how much water was required to make that rupee of revenue. So all those things adds up for risk. And what we believe is how do you mitigate this? And we think, just like how water as a liquid is transparent and clear, what if you make the data of water transparent and clear and help de-risk industries from water crisis? So we digitize using IoT and data science. Of course, I built a drone tech company earlier. I can use drone tech as well. So basically, we use data on ground within the fence by putting water flow meter, water level sensor, water quality sensor, bunch of sensors, and put it in a secure cloud. Provide prescriptive alerts to take corrective action to what would take days together, weeks together, months together to take action. They'll be able to take in less than half an hour and fix it. So of course, today we are expanding that. We would take satellite imagery and drone tech to go outside the fence and say what is the risk associated to the industry outside the fence that would stop. So that's the work that we have been doing to help industries de-risk themselves and eventually become water positive using data-driven approach.
Thank you, Ganesh. Thank you very much. So we have the pleasure of also introducing Lokesh, who has just joined. Lokesh, is it possible for you to come on video? Lokesh? Lokesh is from EcoSTP. Many of you might be knowing him. Okay, while he gets his video up and running, why don't we, hi, Lokesh.
Hey, hi. Sorry, I had some technical issues. I had to get my son to fix it up.
We are just introducing ourselves. We are joining just in time. So Lokesh is from EcoSTP. Lokesh, we are doing the round of introductions. Maybe, we will get to you after Aditya and Chandra. And Aditya, where do you go ahead?
Sure. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Narsi, for making me a part of this, and good to meet each one of you. So a very quick introduction about Anicut Capital. We manage assets across asset classes, primarily debt, early stage, which is in the form of an angel fund and a growth equity fund. I am a part of the growth equity fund. We invest anywhere from about 3 to 5 crores, depending upon the stage of the company, all the way to about 100 crores. And, what we believe as far as sustainability is concerned is that, firstly, I'm glad we are all, I am a part of one of the forethinkers, in the society, and I'm speaking amongst them, right? Because what we believe is that in sustainability, a lot of adoption, behavioral change that's needed en masse is actually sort of government driven or pushed by the government, right? And if there are entrepreneurs who are already building much before what the government says, then we can safely assume they are thinking far ahead in time than the rest of the world. As far as sustainability is concerned, we have one portfolio company called Uravu, which we have invested, which is an atmospheric water generator. But we continue to be sort of bullish on this theme for a few reasons. One, like I first mentioned, this is something that's inevitable, right? The question is not whether, the question is about when. And water specifically is or will reach crisis proportions perhaps in a few years to come. Like I said, it's a question of when. Secondly, we think that there is a lot more of I would say opportunities that can be built around when someone is building for sustainability, right? So what I mean by that is, if for instance, I've taken automotive example, if there is a OEM plant that's coming up, right? And I read somewhere that it takes about 3 to 4 lakh liters of water to sort of manufacture a car. So when any kind of technological development comes in areas apart from sustainability becomes a focus naturally, right? And we would rather preempt that and get that sorted much before it becomes a crisis. So that's the second reason we are bullish about it. And finally, we think that if there is one sector that's not been looked at for the last 100 years or so, that's been sustainability. Because at every point in time, the outcome has always been measured in terms of economic or financial returns and not in terms of sustainability returns. And carbon credits is one among such innovations that's come up in the last maybe 50 years or 30 years. So we will see more such innovations coming up, and these are a few reasons why we continue to be bullish on sustainability. So yeah, I mean, I'm very keen to be part of this panel, and thanks once again, Narsi. Thank you, everyone. So Narsi, you're on mute.
Chandra, your 2 minutes.
Yeah. So I'm Chandra, founder of Watson, the short form of water and sanitation. So we focus purely on the rural population and the urban slums, where drinking water is not reaching out to them. Even though Har Ghar Jal is there, not many companies have gone with region-specific elimination. A lot of arsenic cases in most of the Northeast and almost 15, 16 states. There is fluoride eating away the bones and teeth of people. And no big water company has ever tried to do customized water purifiers, which we do. So we started off with a non-electricity, zero water wastage water purifier, a standalone filter which has reached close to 4 lakh households pan-India. And we have also customized making arsenic removal filters, fluoride removal filters, and they are going steps ahead, like pesticide removal, or maybe the textile dye, as rightly somebody pointed out, through electrocoagulation or something like that. That can reduce a lot of sludge and the unwanted energy being spent on those type of the STPs and the ROs, which are not at least scientifically proven, but they are just copied because some MNC has dumped the idea into our head. So now we are looking on both ends. One is the reaching out to the rural populace. Now we are trying to create, because governments have failed miserably in terms of implementation. There may be fantastic amounts to spend, lots of projects being declared, but we go and see in the last mile. I have visited almost some 15,000 villages pan-India. So I can clearly say that both sanitation and Swachh Bharat has also failed, water has also failed. So we are reaching out to them. They are trying to teach, creating women warriors, water women warriors, WWW, educating them with a handheld kit about understanding the water, what is the contamination, then alleviating also by giving our standalone filters. Another step, like what Aditya said, is to understand the carbon sequestration, like because there is no electricity, our filter doesn't waste even a drop of water. This is purely gravity filtration, and also avoidance of burning firewood or coal for boiling the water. So these are all giving some very good carbon credit, which was not seen so far by the carbon experts. Now we are doing a pilot with a Singapore-based company to even look into this aspect and give the water purifier free for the rural poor who cannot really afford to buy. But it's a win-win situation for everybody. As a social impact company, I am able to reach out to that many companies. The carbon credit company needs a sizable number, like 15,000 tribal households or 20,000 tribal households, so that they can get the real carbon credit. And the guy in between, he also gets the green certification or whatnot. So it is working out fantastically. We are coming out with the pilot. Later, we graduated into larger sizes to even look into the Anganwadi schools in the unreached areas with 200 liters, 500 liters, 2,500 liters. And to the extent of going to Swiggy Cloud Kitchen, doing the complete automation, doing away with the RO and giving our mission. So this is what Watson is all about. And in the sanitation front, we have used the solid glass fibers, the waste dumped by the windmill companies, to convert them into completely built toilet. So you don't use sand, you don't use water, and you are doing it as a panel and fitting it in the last mile, where none of these materials reach out to the rural areas, and you can fit the toilet within an hour's time. This we are focusing more on the, not as a market product, but more on the CSR and other things, where we reach out to schools in the unreached areas. So this is what Watson is all about. Anybody can collaborate with new ideas or new things. Yes, we are very much there. I'm in manufacturing for almost 3 decades. Anybody wanted to think of scalability, making prototypes or manufacturing, I can be of help. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank
I
you.
just want to add, I've been drinking Watson's water purifier water for last 3 years, both in my office and at my home. So yeah, and
So Chandra, a few marketing dollars, you can pass them on to Ganesh after the.
No, I am planning to take a.
big
No, I'm trying to take a video. He looks good like a hero. In fact, I have already got some.
So you got a customer
So
testimony.
we don't need Hema
not the
Malini.
best time, but yeah, I am very happy that my son, 3-year-old, is going to get all the minerals that he deserves, which the RO was not giving him. So I am anyway old, but I hope the next generation deserve. I mean, thank you so much.
I cannot afford to buy Hema Malini at Tendulkar, so I am banking on Ganesh.
Lokesh, 2 minutes of your time. Lokesh, of course, as you know, EcoSTP is again water treatment. So we have one other guy from the water treatment industry apart from Amrit. Lokesh, your 2 or 3 minutes introduction. Go ahead.
Sure, Narsi. Quick introduction. EcoSTP, we are a biomimicry-based sewage treatment company. Essentially, our system is based on the digestive system of cow. It's more like, say, cow stomach has got 4 chambers called rumen digesters. And as we all know, whatever cow eats, what it gives is good to nature. Say, for example, cow dung is good to nature, cow urine is good to nature. So ultimately, our system is purely zero power. You just don't need any power or any chemicals, or you don't need any manpower to run the show. The entire system is, again, like the cow stomach, has got 4 chambers, rumen digester chambers. Our system also has got 4 stages. So the stage 1, 2, 3 technically goes underground, where the entire sewage falls in, and then there is a settler chamber, and then there is a digestive chamber, and then there is a filtration chamber. And the stage 4 is something called a plant biofilter, where all the NPK nutrients are removed by the good old nature-based plants like Kana, Colocasia. Yeah. So essentially, it's a 4 stages system. And then you put bad water in, and you get good water out without any operators. And the whole point is, see, the current sewage treatment system, which 99% of the world uses, is you just blow air through the fecal matter, but then switch off the motor and the blower, and then get the entire system settled. And then you take the clarified water into another chamber, then add chemical, a lot of things we do, and then finally we let it out. So this is gas guzzler. You need basically a lot of electricity, chemicals. You need operators to run the show. And then the entire area is gone. I mean, imagine in a city, if you have to implement this system, you need almost 50 to 100 acres of land. Where will you find that? I mean, And added to the Agni, it requires huge amount of investment, electricity, and where is the carbon neutrality in this whole case? So EcoSTP as a system, because it is what do you call nature-based solution, the entire space is also, in fact, we have built sewage treatment plant below a children's play area. We have built it below a car park. We have built it below a basketball court. So the very important asset is land, and then in our case, that's not going to go away. That's very important. And as we speak, we are currently in 24 states across the country, and in terms of what we have done, we have more than 200 plus sites, which we have built, and we cater to a lot of. See, in fact, we cater to factories, industries. We have catered to apartments. We are building it for huge layouts, and then we have done it for universities, schools, colleges, hotels. In fact, we have done for some of the resorts very near to the sea, like say in Pondicherry, where right next to the sea there is a resort, a small resort for which we have built EcoSTP. So the whole idea is there is no moving parts, there is no chemicals or operators required, and then very minimal what do you call it? It's a one-time construction what you have to do. Yes, the civil construction once done, probably it will last for a life time of that particular building. So a lot of people are interested now, and then of course Habitat for Humanity, which is one of the world's largest low-cost house builders. They are our investors, and as we speak, it's catching up, and then a lot of interest from a lot of industries and hotels and big builders. So I hope this decentralized system catches further, and then probably we'll have a proper sustainable solution, because having a conventional system which requires a lot of electricity is not a right sustainable solution, I would say. To give a simple example, Narsi, say for example, a 100 KLD system or a 1 lakh liters per day kind of system needs almost 65,000 kilowatt hour of energy, which is nothing but to generate that energy, you're going to spend almost close to 53 tons of coal. So that's what you're saving by putting an EcoSTP. That's the carbon credit you're going to get.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you, Lokesh. We have had the round of introductions, and by the way, I think the way you guys articulated it, the round of introductions also kind of covered one of the key parameters I wanted you guys to touch upon, which is the pain points that you guys are looking at. Of course, in Aditya's case, he's an investor, so he is watching out for pain points that you guys are solving, and in your case, you guys are all looking at the pain point that you can solve. So that's covered. There are two other things, as I said, before we wrap up this panel discussion, because this is, as I said, more a context setting panel discussion. Okay, just to let you know, this is more a context setting one. We want to split it into two. If we can even have the third one as we go along the next 2 months. Just set the context, look at innovations we have done, look at the challenges that are in front of us, and then we go back, do our work, maybe even act as a group and come back with some pathways and directions in the next panel discussion. Okay, so the next stage, I would say, for each of you guys, and this need not go in an order. Whoever has it can say this. What innovations are you guys working on? You don't have to necessarily work on innovations. I mean, eventually we have to try towards sustainability. If it can be done with a very simple process, why not? But if there are specific innovations that any of you guys are working on that you feel is worth mentioning over here, I would really request you guys to point it out, maybe take a minute or two for that, so that we get an idea of what are the new things that are trying to create the delta, the delta that is required to push water from where it is today to becoming really sustainable. So the innovation round, guys, whoever can think of any innovation that you guys are doing right now. Right now, we are looking at the things that you guys are implementing. Maybe right after this, we can also look at some innovations that you guys are seeing elsewhere. So innovations that you guys are doing. Anyone can start.
Yeah, I can start. See, we are looking at exactly what Lokesh and Amrit said are very right. because in both fronts, in the toilet front, we are also looking into making smaller the eco STP like thing, which could be retrofitted into smaller areas, not the larger ones. Instead of decentralizing is the right word. In fact, when they do the layout, we insist the builders to have separate grey water, black water, and the other thing to be separated, so that cleaning them or effluent treatment also becomes very easier. And we, in the schools where we have done the toilets, we tell them not ever use this Harpic or anything. Unfortunately, when you go for a large sanitation program, it is that the company, I don't want to name them, they are the sponsors. And to my shock and horror, in the first Swachh Bharat meeting some 10 years ago, they gave me a handful of Harpic, some 10 bottles free for every delegate. I said, that is a very principle which you are breaking science. If you hit acid in the toilet, what happens? All the the bacteria which has to eat the scum dies instantly. So only the acid and the pH will be so low, and the scum will remain as it is. And then, as he said, it is going to be pushed out to some place, motorized, mechanized, put chemical and all the shit thing, and then they are going to just condense it into some flocculated material, and the water which is standing out, they are going to treat. I don't understand the very. Is it some 6 standards science? So we are trying to rebuild this into smaller units where we can retrofit into houses or schools or anything, so that it becomes easier. Another thing I wanted to tell to Lokesh, what we are working, being in manufacturing, when construction is a pain in this whole business, I think bringing the sand or the type of quality bricks and other things you need to bring out to the last mile. So we are trying to create cubicles in rotomolding with some puff insulation, so that you can retrofit like there will be a male-female attachment. So you construct the wall in no time. So I can help you on that. That is what my call is. Myself, I got a grant from Akamai for textile elevation. Rightly, as somebody else pointed out, the whole process of the effluent treatment itself is wrong. The aeration, the inoculum treatment, then the chlorination, then the boiling out and taking away the salt. So I have created a process sequence which totally avoids all these energy-based systems. And we are putting it in simple nutshell. First, there is an inoculum, of course, to break down the heavy toxic materials. Then photoremediation using sunlight. Instead of the HDPE pipe, there will be complete transparent polycarbonate paste through which the effluent will run, and sunlight will do some job. Then it goes to physical filtration, like my candle, the microfiltration candle with some pressure on it, so that the final effluent will be phytoremediated, like what Lokesh said. So the final effluent will be treated through a landscape of select crops, so that when it runs through that and goes back, the same water could be used by the textile dyer to reuse it again and again. So it will stop burning firewood daily. I think Tirupur, for that common effluent treatment plant, every month they are spending 1.5 crores only for electricity charges. And they are growing plantations for 100 acres to compensate the tree they are cutting for boiling the boilers. Total energy loss. So we are demystifying the whole thing. We are creating our own process chart. And by next March, April, we are coming out with a small pilot plant which do away with all this energy and give water back to the textile dye guys, so that they can reuse it. There I may be seeking Amrit's help on the electrocoagulation part and the process sequence. So I would be happy that Narsi connector, you are a real connector, I should say. So I got two good people here where I can discuss about opportunities of new innovation. So, and in Shell, there is this air to water concept, which is also costly, because you are taking air from the humidity, the moisture from the air, and then you are trying to convert into drinking water. But we run it through a mineral, chamber, using calcium carbonate and magnesium non-toxic material. Water will run through it and really make it mineral water. There also the cost is very prohibitive. But I am looking at the fishermen area, where the fishermen, when they go deep into the sea, 3 to 4 days they stay back in the boat, but half of the boat is filled with bubble top. So we want to do a solar-based air to water system. We are pegging it at a price of only 50,000 rupees, which can give you 20 liters of water every day. So we are trying to bring down by using a material called MOF. Not many of the metal oxide framework. This is something unheard of. This is also a nanotechnology based material only. But creating the linkages and other thing, we are dependent on foreign companies. So we are trying to create our own linkages and our own MOF material. That also will get some good results by coming year. So these two are the most exciting and challenging, maybe out of the box ideas which you are trying to. And because I had been in manufacturing, always think on the cost component. Whenever I see Lokesh problem, I see where his cost is getting more or where the delays are happening. I see, okay, I can troubleshoot this because it's not my business or his business. It is our ecosystem which is getting challenging. So when he says he's doing carbon credits and cement, when
Chandra,
yeah.
can we move on to the challenges slightly later so that the others also have a
Yeah.
chance to
So okay,
tell us
short to
about
that,
the renovation?
these are all the
Some challenges. So
these are
anybody
all
else? I mean, Lokesh, Amrut, Ganesh,
Um,
on the innovation side, it may not be a technology innovation. In fact, some of what Chandra spoke about were actually business model innovations, probably, or process innovations. Anything you guys want to point out? While the speaker, you already pointed out a few. For instance, Lokesh spoke about how they are mimicking the cow and stuff like that. But a couple of minutes on specific innovations. Any of you?
So very to put it into perspective, like Narsi, what we have done is we already have a system which is based on the biomimicry principle. Now there are certain things we are also looking at because there are certain things which apart from just treating the water we get as an offshore. For example, in a sewage treatment plant, you not naturally get a gas.
Correct.
Then you also get a sludge. Okay. So in fact, our system sludge removal is only once in 2 years. So obviously 2 years once is a good enough time. And then in fact, it's not a sludge technically, it's a digestate. It's a very high-end manure. So if you can process it and then you can look at marketing it as a fertilizer. That's number one which we are looking at. Of course, there's gas which gets generated, which we can technically look at how we are working on some innovation in terms of how we can use that to say, for example, use the gas generated to light the streets or probably use the gas for cooking. Yes, there are certain things which we are working on those. Purely in terms of currently, we already have an established system and everything is running smooth. Narsi, purely in terms of innovation, we are trying to do something different now. We are working with IIT Jammu to help us with a lot of innovation. So probably develop joint IPs in the sustainable thing. So that's something which we have already started doing. So this, because see, having an academic, having institute like IIT helps us also in terms of getting the right ideas, and so we are trying to get some of the IPs developed by the institute. Yes, one is our proper sewage treatment solution. Next is how can I innovate, how can I use the gas which is generated as a part of my sewage treatment solution? How can I use the sludge which gets generated as a, how can I do, say, probably, can I use that as a fertilizer? These are some of the things which we are toying with. And of course, a couple of institutes are also helping us with those. Because if I start doing all those research, it's not going to help me because I'm a company, so I would rather try to see how I market my solution rather than. So this is something which we are also looking at.
Fair enough, fair enough. Thank you very much, Lokesh. Anybody else on the innovation side before we move to challenges? Yes, Amrit or Ganesh or Yashaswini?
Yeah, sure. Like it's really good to know that everyone is working on innovations. Pretty inspiring there. From our side, there are a few clear set of things that we are doing. We are moving into microelectro technology, which will allow us to decrease our energy consumption by 40%. There's a special emphasis on carbon nanotubes there, and even carbon fibers. This will also allow us to reduce the footprint of systems. For example, we are presently installing a 1.6 MLD plant in a total footprint of 2,500 square feet only. And that's being done to reduce 80% of the pollutant load in one step inside our reactors. It will allow us to further slash footprint by another 25% on that. The second thing we're doing is advanced oxidation, and we're looking at powdered electrodes with that. That's something very new, and it's being built by us. The Other thing that we are doing is we're also working on hydrogen recovery because it's an electrolysis based approach. We are working on systems which are able to recover this hydrogen, and at the same time utilize it for offsetting our own energy demands. The last thing that we are working on is data. Our systems and our approach to water treatment are best defined by the quality of data that we're able to get in and the actions that we define, especially in the systems that are operational. So we are writing a set of algorithms which can define or standardize pollutant loads, but also instruct machinery on the ground to be able to modulate that. It works very well with our electrical systems, and the objective is to have a data-driven software which can actually work on any kind of electrochemical cell. So the IP is not just emphasized on hardware, it also moves on to software, and it allows us to get much more effective feedback and do predictive maintenance with these ingrained abilities within any assets that we put out there. So overall, it enables financial consistency and allows us to predict risk better, most importantly.
Thank you. And anybody else want to pitch in before we go to challenges?
Just do a quick one, not as elaborate innovation plan, but a few things is climate intelligence is a very important component in our water, de-risking water crisis for our industry clients. So industries, both drought and flood can affect their business continuity aspect, and we are increasing this part of the stack, making this stack very strong so that it's just not only within the fence they are working on the data-driven approach, outside the fence also can affect, right? If there is a flood drought, or if there is a some other risk that affect the computation of water, as said, is a measure that also knows whether your business can actually, how long it can continue. And based on that, you have to plan your water resource. So that is something that we have focused. We have 100 clients. We hope to have 1,000 clients in the next few years. And as we have that many clients, we want to also hope to become an assisted marketplace to all the other technologies which help our clients become water positive. So I'm very happy to have all the great entrepreneurs in this whole room itself. So to see how we all can work together for, especially for the industry use case. Yeah, that's it from my side.
All right, thank you. Well, shall we move on to the challenges part? We'll spend about maybe 10 minutes. Is that okay?
Can I just step in here for a couple of minutes?
Yeah, so Swini, yeah, you want to say something on innovations?
Yeah.
Okay.
So one of the things that WeGot is doing currently, in addition to innovation on the hardware, increasing the features available on the software, is really focusing on client as a living creature, in the sense that, especially since there is a lot of focus on the residential community, it's not really a case of plug and play, even though we try very hard to get there. You install the hardware, you give access to the software, and then you step back. I think what is really moving the needle for a lot of clients in terms of water savings is we are innovating on the kind of support that they are being given from the initial stage right until years into the usage of the system. It's obvious to me because I am the one leading the initiative, but I see that even more than having technological advances, being really sharp about how to move the needle on behavior, how to really give power in a very decentralized way to ensure that behavior change happens right at the grassroots without, say, the facility manager or the management committee really getting their hands dirty and saying, do this, do that. That for me is a big innovation that's happening. I don't think we were focusing on this earlier. And I'm seeing in the last few months that it's made the difference between someone who's just paying for our system and using it to bill, and paying for the system and really bringing down their costs and their usage overall. So for me, that was interesting.
Very interesting.
Innovation.
Very interesting. Thank you very much, all of you, for putting the innovations. As you know, it's all recorded, so we can all go back and review what each of us has said. So we have enough time for that. but maybe next 10 minutes or so, the challenges. So let me read out the key things that I have seen. I'm nowhere near an expert as you guys are when it comes to water, but as somebody who has been working in sustainability, I'm aware of some challenges that are bigger in water than they are in other sectors. The biggest issue is water is looked at as a public good. Unlike an electric vehicle, unlike even solar power, well, I still pay for power most of the time. I know I pay for water, but it's either too low or many times it's free. So water is looked at as a public good, as something very, very essential. And as a result, obviously, government has a big role to play. And secondly, because it's looked as a public good, it's something people are used to having as a commodity. And it's so distributed, scaling is a challenge as well. And finally, because of its nature as a commodity in public good, pricing, making money on water, the challenge. So I'm going to read out the 3 challenges I see as the keywords. You can add any, but I would like your inputs on the specifics of these challenges. I'm not asking for suggestions. That's for the next session, but the specifics on each of these challenges so that we really have something to work on after this session. One, as I see, is really the fact that government is involved in many areas. Once you go out of residential, right, even in the case of industrial, it probably depends on government policy. Thankfully, the government has become far more strict, but still there is a government involved in a big way. And when it goes to farming and stuff like that, well, it's almost 100% regulated by what the government can say. This is a very sensitive segment. So the government has a huge role to play. Secondly, the distributed nature of water and the way the legacy systems are working could create significant scaling challenges. Yeah. Now, you see, one thing I know for a fact is that in India, 75% of fresh water is used neither for residences nor for industries. It's used in agriculture. Yeah, we all know that. But that is the, as they call, the elephant in the room. I don't see any of us is tackling it because we don't know how to tackle it. Right? It's 75%, 80% probably if you go with some estimates, because it's a public good. The government is there in a big way, and scaling is a big problem. So one is the fact that it's government, it's a public good. Second is scaling is a big problem because it is distributed, and the largest segment is actually the farmer segment, which is even more distributed. And thirdly, how do you make money on water? This has been, without naming investors, I would say very well intentioned investors have told me, Narsi, I would love to invest in water, but I also love to make money. Right now, this intersection seems to be non-existent when it comes to water. 3 things, guys. So scaling, government, pricing. What are the challenges? Let me know. I'm going to scribble. You guys keep telling me the challenges. I'll write it down. It can be of any of the 3, and then we will start working. We'll do the homework in the background. Is that okay?
Yeah. So maybe I'll take the liberty to go first, Narsi. Maybe I was just thinking about this in the earlier, point also, right? See, any business, any opportunity, there are 3 key legs to it, right? One is that a business addresses either an inefficiency or it addresses an opportunity, that is a lack of a solution, right? The second part or second leg to any business is how do you sort of sell that, and why would you make the customers buy? And the third part is the monetization, right? And you sort of covered the second and the third part, right, in the challenges. So which the corollary of it makes it very clear that everybody is convinced that there is an opportunity, right? There is an inefficiency. There is a better way to do things. Now, one thing which I've seen across all of this is that policy or policy making by the by the legislative is actually very, very slow, one. And 2, it is late, right? And a consequence of it, right? So a great example for that will be maybe not in water, but what happened in CNG, right? So everyone was pushing for electric cars and CNG. It's not a new technology, but then the moment there was a 50,000 or a 1 lakh rupee incentive that came in, right, everybody rushed to do that. Similarly, same thing happened with adoption of CNG cars in Delhi, right? So I think policy making is something where I would believe, there is a significant challenge. Maybe startups have to sort of work along. That is one. The other challenge that I see is that you spoke about monetization. I think the deeper question about monetization is that it's not about whether you can make money or whether there is an ability to make money, but the opportunity cost of it, right? So what entails, or what does someone lose if this solution is not there? Now that alternative, as far as water is concerned, is actually very, very and it's very thin, in the sense, if there is no water available, right, it becomes a political narrative, and the government has to make water available, which makes monetization a challenge, right? So now, one level deeper that you think about monetization is how do you actually preempt these kind of problems, and then you make them available in advance, right? To sort of make it viable business model. So these are two things which I would say. So just to summarize, one is policy: how quickly or how efficiently can policies be made, right? And second thing is, how do you sort of preempt certain things which eventually can become viable business models before they become certain social narratives, and as a result, they don't become monetizable, or they don't become business friendly. So yeah.
Thank you, Aditya. Anybody else on challenges? Any specifics you want to say?
See, in terms of like Aditya rightly said, it's purely government, because water, 90% of it we need it for agriculture and all. Let's take an example of a small village within the country. Today, whatever they have is pretty straightforward. They do a pit, the entire sewage goes there, and then of course they use all whatever Harpic, whatever soap, detergent, everything into that, and then finally that just goes into the ground, and then that comes back into our food chain. So what are we trying to do here? I mean, look at it. The entire system, the food chain, it comes back, and then because of that, again we'll get into various diseases, whatever, and then it keeps on continuing. I mean, what are we giving for our future generation? So what are we supposed to do in these situations? So can I have a proper sewage treatment system for a small village, and the same water, can it be treated and used for agriculture? Because basically treating it and then you're reusing it. That's not happening today. I mean, everywhere we just open a pit and then you put a soap pit, and then everything goes there, and then the system goes into the ground. The whole cycle continues, and that's number one. Number two, yes, government has to identify new innovations and then see how those can be implemented, and some amount of incentive. Like, say for example, look at it. Today, electric cars and scooters, they have some government incentives. They give you some rebate, all of those. But nothing of that sort is there for water treatment system. For solar they have, but imagine water is elixir of life, and then we don't have any such what do you call government provisions where companies doing something good in this area can flourish. I mean, something we need to look at. Yes, there is something called carbon credit, but yeah, I mean, how can I, as a company, can I monetize it? How can I do it? Who's an expert who can help me in those areas? Today, we don't know. We are into water treatment system, and yes, there's because our system is nature based, and then we don't use any electricity or any operators or anything. There's a huge amount of carbon credit which we can claim. But okay, is there a process? Is there a system? Who can help us? How can I monetize as a company? There's no proper system for that. That's one key challenge. One is the policies. The second one is there some company or some agency or some consultant who can help us get those credits? Can I monetize it?
path to monetizations or monetization enablers. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, as people say, with things like water and public goods, you start appreciating them only when you don't have them. Until then, you consider it free. When you
Yeah.
don't have them, you are willing to pay a bomb. Anybody else on the challenges side?
பாட் அவுட் வந்து நாங்க என்ன இருக்கோ அதை தான் கொடுக்க போறோம். ஷெல்லு வந்து நீ உன்னோட பாட் அவுட்டோட என்ன ஹைட், ஷெல்லு என்ன ஹைட்?
Oh well, I can see, I can hear somebody talking in the background. I don't know if he wants to state a challenge. Anybody else, guys? We are already overshooting the time. I'm sorry about it.
I just want to give a quick thought on this.
Yeah.
What is impact today is a mainstream tomorrow. I left my job in GE Aviation and went to work with Selco Solar. And more than solar, there was a lot of microfinancing work done by Selco at that time to provide access to solar to all. And if anybody was working in microfinance and all this, hey, this guy is that impact guy. I mean, not interested in commercial. But think of it. Today, even I take microfinance, right? And it's called fintech. It is one of the biggest industry today, right? Or forget about that. Chetan Maini, when he started working on electric vehicle, people actually thought he's a mad guy working up against the automobile industry, right? And today, I mean, Elon Musk became the richest guy, and every clean tech investor would have made one check on EV or multiple check on EV. And while I talk to you, Gradient is already a unicorn in water, right? I mean, like before, there's never been a unicorn in water. Now there's already a unicorn in water. You never know, Amrut might build Indra Water to become a unicorn in water in India.
You mean to say we should save this canvas to make sure that we are all seen along with Amrut? We may not get too many opportunities in the future.
Yeah, so the point is that everything has its own time, and the time for water has come, right? And because you have already seen the early signs of water companies becoming unicorn, water plan raising $18 million fund. So across, I mean, like when we raised money, and I was told, like when I met investors, most of them told, oh, we have never invested in water and all. I mean, so it is all shaping up. And I would say, I think it wouldn't take much time, because this is a priority for a country like India for sure, because we're even becoming China +1 in multiple sectors, whether it's pharma or whether it's electric chip manufacturing, all electronic chip manufacturing, all these things require huge amount of water. Even food grains, everything requires so much of water too. So I think there will be policies, and no government would do self-defeating goals on something that would affect the overall growth of the country, GDP and things like that. And I'm pretty sure when it is about GDP, the regulations will play a very important role, and it will probably be very favoring water management at large. Yeah, I'll stop here.
Anybody else on challenges?
Say one quick thing. As far as the governance, you said policy making is very critical. In both in water and STP, there is no clear policy at all. I don't think who is the think tank there. All the IITs can in fact converge together and clearly declare that the very method of putting acids and then starting off the STP is not at all correct. We should go the natural way. Is there a real policy boldly who can say that? And in water, the surprise part is even the Green Tribunal and Supreme Court has banned RO straight away. And the surprise part is acceptable and permissible was 200 and 500, the TDS. Okay, the RO people only give the threat perception of TDS everywhere, total dissolved solid. Not even one single case, if you Google, nobody had died because of high TDS. They are not water with, let us say, 3000 TDS. Somebody had drunk that and they have died. No. But if there is a pathogen, simple thing, the children die because of diarrhea continuously and dehydration in every village, one small bacteria is going to kill them. Nobody dares to say that the very policy of creating this IS 10,500 itself is faulty. How can they say earlier, when before the Green Tribunal's law, it was 200 and 500. 200 is permissible, acceptable is 500 TDS. When all the eco warriors started raising the issue of TDS is not at all a problem, then they immediately raised it 4x. How can acceptable become 2000 now? So where are the scientists now sleeping? So there is a clear policy where we need to say, ban RO. Just follow what Green Tribunal and Supreme Court has already done that. Are we bold enough to say that we need to have a policy on that? Yes, there are industries where very high TDS is really a problem, and that needs to be brought down. Only in those places RO can be a solution economically. Otherwise, for drinking water, I don't see any reason at all. In fact, most of the areas, by and large, the water with mixed bore water and river water has a TDF around 500, 700 or 800 maximum. We don't need to have this RO plant at all, because electricity is going waste, 50% of water is getting wasted, and the membranes they dump every 6 months out is astounding. 3 lakh tons lying somewhere in India as unused material, and that is a big failure. And they are all dumping it into the sea. Some companies are smartly going overnight. And another disaster is the seawater conversion into drinking water. Because the saline or the brine what they are taking out with high TDS, let us say 18,000, 20,000, is dumped back into the sea. So it is going to become Dead Sea in another 5 years or 10 years. All the flora fauna will go out. All the fishermen in and around Mahabalipuram and all those places are going to go away. Their life is going to become a threat. But all the politicians are making money on this. And we have policy papers on this.
Far beyond the deadline. I'm sorry, guys might have other things to do.
Yeah.
So anybody else has challenges that you want to point out? I think Yashaswini or I guess most of the others have. Is there anything else you'd like to point out, Yashaswini?
Yeah, sorry, Narsi. I'll just take 1 minute to, just add to what Chandra was saying. I think that's a very important point about the RO systems being there, right? I think the one challenge that we have to also consider is the behavioral change, right? Most of us, what has happened is, these RO systems have actually penetrated into the house, but then people are used to it, right? So the question really is not about whether there can be a new company which replaces it. There can be many products, right? But are people ready to change behaviors? And if at all, if you're going to change behaviors, how do you go about it, right? Policy is one way, but are there other ways to sort of, help or incentivize people to change behaviors?
Agreed. I think it's a challenge. We use RO, by the way, in our office, and I've been wanting to do away with it. But when it comes to water, you are extremely scared of doing away with something that's working. So yes, I am at fault myself, and I think that is where I completely agree with Aditya. It's a challenge. Anybody else? Sorry, it's just that I don't want to keep you guys back from whatever else you have any schedule. If Yashaswini has anything, she can state. Otherwise, we can wrap it up.
Another point I want to make out, NRC, this GST, earlier when the VAT was there was a category called drinking water purifiers, and the VAT was 5%. Now there is nothing like drinking water purifier in the whole GST lexicon. Surprisingly, we are selling the standalone water purifiers for the rural poor under industrial category for liquid and gas purification system with 18% of GST. See, I am earning 100 rupees out of my water filter. The government earns 360 rupees out of the water filter. How it is fair? Because the rural guy is not going to get the GST way back. Okay, he is just paying one time and he is going to use it. And that is a real deterrent, and there is no, and I have put this question directly to Nirmala Sitharaman in one forum. No answer so far past 4 years.
Sure, you'll get something. Oh, anybody else? Shall we wrap it up? Yashaswini, you have something to say?
I think a lot of how water is perceived and its value comes from the fact that the person who is using the water is not the person who's losing access to water. So if it's in a city like Hyderabad that's growing really quickly, the government is giving an enormous amount of water free for residences. Now, you can always argue that that is part of the duty of a government, but I think the government taking on an enormous burden on itself because you're giving water away for free that you have spent money on. And the reason you're willing to do this is because the person you're taking water away from is relatively powerless or has been given a different incentive to give away rights to that water. The minute you start charging for water the way you are, like how at least 50% of how much you're spending on it, then any startup that's working either in demand reduction or in water treatment automatically gets a market because pricing becomes very straightforward.
Agreed, completely agreed.
Very
Folks,
good
thank
point.
you very much. It's an hour since we started, slightly more than that. It was supposed to be about 45 minutes. I knew 45 minutes meant an hour, but now with the hour has gone to an hour, 10 minutes. So thank you very much for putting up, giving all your time over the last hour and 10 minutes. We are going to wrap it right now. But very quickly, this is the first of hopefully 3, but definitely at least one more will be there, the panel discussion. I think this was a very good context setting. The fact that we got 6 of you guys over here, I think it's really brilliant. And each of you guys represent different segments as well, different kind of roles that you perform. Thank you very much, Hamdard, Ganesh, SS Vinay, Chandra, Lokesh, and Aditya. We are going to meet again. We're going to meet again, and before that, maybe I can start a group. Let me see how easy and how non-inclusive that group can be with so many groups going on. But I'm going to start this group. We're going to have some discussion. And I'm going to give you guys a lot of homework. Chandra, a lot more homework for you because you have a lot of challenges to state. Yeah. So I'm serious about it. Yeah. Let's all work together, do some work. Maybe next session can be purely focused on what can we do. You see, I'm sure you guys have been in lots of panels where we discuss what can we do, but actually very little comes out of it, especially in water. Yeah, in a few other things have happened. I'm not saying any of us has a magic plan, but the advantage is that we have CLIMAFIX, where pretty much everybody is going to be there in about 2.5 months. And that's at least a platform where I don't know about the government. Government will be there to some extent, but definitely all the investors are going to be there, and so are going to be most of the startups. So if you're able to have a nice pathway and some kind of at least some kind of a blueprint with us saying these are 5 key challenges and these are the ways we feel it can be solved. We have those breakout sessions out there, and maybe this can be a very useful starting point for those breakout sessions. So we have everybody under one room, a captive audience. Who knows, something actually could happen. Yeah. So thank you very much, all of you. Until we meet again. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Thanks, Narsi. Thanks.